Jack is a great guy. He's written a fantastic book. Everybody's talking about it. Go get it. And he's been my friend right from the beginning of this whole beautiful event. And we're going to turn it around and make our country great again. Amen.
All right, Jack Posobiec back here, Human Events Daily, Real America's Voice. By the way, I just wanted to say that, whenever they play that clip of President Trump and me, and he's talking about the book, and he's encouraging people to go buy it, that, I don't know if people know this, but that clip, Charlie Kirk filmed that. We were backstage at a Turning Point Action rally in October of 2024, and it was me, the president, Charlie, and obviously the whole senior staff was there. And I had asked the president if he would just accept a copy of it. And then Charlie goes, why don't you film a little video, Mr. President? And he pulls up his own phone and just films that. And we do it. He sent it to me. And he said, Jack, I got you. And it's just, Charlie actually filmed that little back lore for Human Events Daily. Folks, did you know that Utah and Florida recently banned fluoride in their drinking water? Why are they doing a massive U-turn on something that's been pumped into our water for 80 years? The government claims fluoride for healthy teeth, and that's just nanny state nonsense, honestly. You don't need bureaucrats medicating your water. You need the freedom to choose pure water. That's why my family uses Cove Pure, a countertop water purifier certified to remove up to 99.9% of impurities. That includes fluoride and other garbage like PFAs, fertilizer runoff, you name it. The first thing I noticed is the taste. Cove Pure helps water because of what it's supposed to taste like. Pure, clean, no aftertaste. The best part is that you can choose any temperature, hot or cold, with just one tap. Myself, Tanya Tay, the kids, they love it. It's so easy. There's no drilling, no plumbers. You just fill it in, you plug it in, it's done. You get the water you want. Head to covepure.com/POSO, and you will now get a limited time $200 off. The government has no business forcing things in your water. Don't wait for them to sort out pure water. You have to do it yourself. That's covepure.com/POSO, covepure.com/POSO for $200 off. All right, Tom, I got to get in on this now because people know, you're a veteran, I'm a veteran, you work in veterans advocacy, and it's been something that you've been an absolute leader on, and President Trump was talking about the H-1B program, I guess yesterday, and this is just completely roiled up everyone online. Why is it that you would say that MAGA, America First, and particularly the veteran community gets so upset when they hear about the H-1B program?
I think it just comes down to jobs and skilled labor and housing and affordability, right? Where, right off the bat, that's the easiest one there. And you consider the fact that, if I know folks out there who have computer science degrees from top schools, they are struggling to get a good job, right? Because we're importing cheap labor, and they're practically, indentured servants, practically slaves, right? For a fraction of the money. It's a real problem here, right? And it's not just in the tech space, but it's all over the place, right? It's within housing. It's like having skilled labor for housing, to be able to build enough houses, right, in this country. Also, we've got way too many people that shouldn't be here. So we're not even talking about just illegal immigration. It's all immigration. Like that, what people don't realize.
So this is creating downward pressure on wages.
Right.
And it's forcing every American to have to compete with every other worker around the world, especially when, and this isn't a immigration situation, but especially when you count the outsourcing that goes on because 100%. Of remote work. I have a good friend, you know him, still boneless, who trained a workforce that's overseas, and he was told that they were going to be his staff. And then immediately once he was done training, he lost his job.
It was terrible. Yeah, a lot of cases of that. I've seen plenty of examples of that. We all have. In the veteran, I'll just ask from a basic perspective, are 100% of our veterans employed today in America? They are not.
Interesting.
So
we do have unemployed veterans.
And who have skills.
And do those, I was going to my next question, you anticipated follow-up. Do American veterans have skills and talents?
Absolutely. Okay. And some discipline, too.
And a little bit of discipline, military discipline and bearing.
Work experience.
Military bearing and discipline. So they have all that. They have work experience. They're not 100% employed.
No.
And so the question then is, why does it seem like these foreign workers are being brought in before every single American veteran has a job?
I think it's coming down to an issue of corporate profits, right? I mean, our friend Steve Bannon, obviously, he talks about this quite a bit, and he's absolutely right, where it's like...
Oh, Bannon, does he have an opinion
a little
on
bit,
H-1B?
little bit, right? He's got a little bit of opinion on it, but that's what you're looking at. And even when I talk to other companies that want to like do work with the government as well, one of the things I say to them is like they'll throw up things like, "Hey, this contributed to GDP." I go, get that word out of your vocabulary. Just because line go up does not mean prosperity for Americans. You emphasize, and your focus needs to be on creating good-paying jobs for American workers. And there is plenty of opportunity, and there's plenty of a labor force there. But if you're importing cheap foreign labor, and then they themselves are practically slaves because they can't leave, because if they leave the job, then they'll get deported as well. So it's nothing good for them either. And I think this is something really important, and this is why Charlie Kirk was so valuable to our movement, and why his loss is a loss to the America First and the entire MAGA movement, because he was the guy who was constantly talking to the administration, seen at the highest levels, like, hey, this immigration thing is a real problem. You need to watch this, right? And we don't have Charlie here
would be on campus. He'd be on campus day in and day out, hearing what the kids were saying, hearing what Gen Z was saying, hearing what that generation was saying. They're saying, wait a minute, why do we have to go into the workforce and compete with every single foreign labor when they come across? And people say, well, they work, and I always hear this refrain too. They say, oh, well, they're willing to work harder. I say, of course they are, because they want to be in the country.
Right.
They have an incentive to be here, to work for less, because the benefit from them is they get to come in the country. And then the other piece of it too is they do then get access to the American system, to American health care, to all of this, which, by the way,
SNAP benefits.
All of these benefits are on the backs of the taxpayer. So the company doesn't have to worry about any of that.
Right. I mean, we think about when something like 40 million, where American taxpayers are subsidizing 40 million other people in this country, right, for their EBT and SNAP benefits, right? That's why groceries are so expensive, right? That's why cost of living is so down, is so much harder to compete. I mean, and you see that.
So you're saying that there's a connection between demand, supply, and prices.
It seems like there is sometimes, yeah. I did take a macro class.
We're uncovering and discovering all new things about our economy. Supply and demand can affect price.
And it's not just about, and things people look and say GDP is this, GDP is that, or something like that. And it's like, well, also, when the GDP is wrapped up in a dozen tech companies, which might be in a little bit of a bubble, who knows, right? But the thing is further, you should look more like the health of the American people.
Yeah, I've said, so I was on the Will Kane show the other day.
Right.
And I didn't talk about the GDP, but I said we need to stop talking about the economy. We need to start talking about economic conditions.
Right.
And economic conditions are not the same thing. And I'll say here on this program, we need to stop the worship of the GDP.
Absolutely.
We need to stop. It seems like conservatives only care about conserving the GDP. Right. They don't care about the social conditions or the living conditions or the economic conditions of the average American or the median American. They only care about conserving the GDP. And also there's a great Substack, Lomez and I have chatted about this.
Yeah.
And that really goes to show you that it's just a theory.
Right.
It's an economic model. It's not even a real thing.
Yeah.
And yet we talk about it like it is. So Tom, put all that together. We're in our final minute here. Just so when we hear this push for more H-1B or an expansion of H-1B, what kind of message does that send to all these people that we're talking about, particularly American veterans?
It tells you that you're not, I think it really says we don't value you as much. We worship GDP and we worship profits more than we do the health of the American worker and the health of the American nation. It really does. I mean, look, drive 2 hours in any direction in this country and you will see what a lot of just the economic despair, and that all ties into the addiction, right? Crime, unaffordability of living, all that stuff. And
which a lot of veterans fall into.
Tons of them do.
Because they get blocked out from the workforce.
Right. They absolutely do. And it really...
This is a cycle, and I know you've worked on this because you ran rehab centers, that this is a cycle that typically happens when they're making that transition from military life to civilian life.
That's right, they do. And then especially when economic conditions there's despair, then you start having the deaths of despair. And I mean, there's a reason why the opioid crisis followed immediately after the shutdown.
Tom Sauer, where can people go to follow you, brother?
At Thomas B. Sauer on everyone's favorite website, x.com.
X.com. All right, Tom Sauer.
Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it, brother.
Glad to have you here. It's an honor, as always. Ladies and gentlemen, as always, you have my permission. Later, short.